we'll get started. We'll be getting started with our webinar now. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I see that Dr. Reed is here on the list as well. It's really nice to see you, Dr. Reed. All right. Well, without further ado, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everybody. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in, checking in. Today's webinar, we'll be having our distinguished speaker. We have Dr. Reed. We have Dr. Joey Reed. He is a psychiatrist in Chicago, Illinois at Jackson Park Hospital. He received his medical degree from Mary Medical College of Medicine, and he has been practicing for over 20 years. We have Dr. Reed here with us. Thank you so much, Dr. Reed, for joining us. And how are you doing today? All right. Dr. Reed, I believe you are muted right now.
Okay, great. Can you hear me now?
I hear you now. Yes.
Okay, great. I'm pleased to be here. Thank you so much for the invite.
Thank you so much for being here, Dr. Reed. Thank you. Thank you for joining us. And, today's webinar is going to be focusing on anything, everything psychiatry. What things should the IMGs look out for? Your journey as a psychiatrist, just really anything psychiatry related. And so to start us off, if you could just tell us a little bit more how your medical journey has been like. There's individuals who...
Well, hey, thank you for the invite, guys. So I've been in practice around 25 years here in Chicago. I would strongly advise you to go into psychiatry. I don't know any area of medicine that's going to be so transformative as psychiatry. With the advent of AI, molecular biology, blockchains and things like that. Many of the newer neuropsychiatric textbooks, they really outlay all the networks in the brains. And so from psychiatry, we're moving away from symptomatology, like labeling things, and we're basically managing networks in the brain. And we're right at the frontier on that. So it's going to be a lot of exciting changes in medicine overall, but I think it's going to be led by psychiatry. So if you guys have any questions, please feel free to ask me, because there's so much going on in psychiatry and everything. It's a lot, so I would really encourage. And what's interesting with psychiatry is there's no cost. The cost is very low. So you can, and I start seeing my patients at 5:30 in the morning at the hospital, and I'm usually finished around 7:30, 8 o'clock. And so I can start early and finish early. And so you can have a really good life with psychiatry. So I really encourage people to consider psychiatry.
Wow, no, that's amazing. And did you, as a medical student in your journey, was psychiatry the focus? How some individuals go into medical school with an open mind. Maybe we'll find ourselves in our specialty. Some people go in very razor focused. This is the specialty I want. Which one would you say you were, Dr. Reed?
I remember my first lecture in psychiatry in medical school. I remember it. They were describing personality disorders, and I saw my family. So I can see the people around me in the discussions and things like that. And so I never lost interest in that. It's incredibly interesting. It's incredibly interesting. So I never had any other subject that would affect me emotionally or such interest as psychiatry. So I never really saw the other branches of medicine interesting at all.
So straight from the
first day, the interest of first day is amazing. Amazing.
Wow. And throughout your medical journey, how was that like navigating again as a medical student going through their didactic years, and then now somebody going through their clinical years, somebody who's focused in psychiatry. What were some of the things you said you would consider you did that not only made you, you know, a successful student, but also a competitive residency applicant?
Yeah, I think the first advice I would give any student, the fear and the apprehension is unnecessary, and it's sort of based upon your own inexperience and newness to the area. And the fear, the apprehension, the worry, that only interfere with the process. I've never met one person who didn't make it through. I've never met one person. So the likelihood that you'll succeed is great outweighs the likelihood that you'll fail. So I don't really think that failure is actually an option at this point, because there's no one outside of you, meaning, um, I'm sorry, did this click off? Can you still see me?
Yeah,
Okay. All
I
right.
hear you, but I don't see you. Yes, I see you.
Okay, whatever. Okay, great. I'm sorry, I had a phone call come in. So there's nothing outside of you. So there's no structure outside of you besides maybe the medical school you're in, and it's regulated by the state. So if you ever have a problem with a teacher, just call state and they'll take care of that. So other than people intimidating you or trying to make things seem more complicated than it really is, you should do well. And so the first thing, I wouldn't fear going to the next step. The second thing is that despite how overwhelming or how much the information it seems to be,
Mhm.
it's the same way you felt when you were in high school. And go back and look at your high school notes. You can just read the whole year,
Mhm.
in like 10 minutes. You can read the whole year in 10 minutes. And so it's going to be like that, after you enter practice and continue to, try to perfect your craft, all of this is going to be consolidated into just a line item of knowledge. And you're going to be learning other things here and there. And this is just going to be one of the things to do. So the second thing is that although it may seem to be a large amount of information, once you get through the process, you're going to far exceed the capacity, your capacity to learn these things. And so, yeah, so that's the second thing I would consider. The third advice is don't listen to other students. You know, I think they have a tendency to describe things in heroic or grandiose or dramatic terms. I think that whatever is going to give you the best lifestyle, take it. It's lifestyle over everything, because many of the doctors that I see, I work 7 days a week. You know, I've never had a backup. I've never had a partner. I've always been by myself, practicing by myself, and I've never taken the day off for the whole, 25 years I've been working. Tomorrow I have patients in the hospital tomorrow. I'll be there at 5:30 in the morning. I don't see a reason why to take off, and then, 7 to 5:30 in the morning, you finish at 8 o'clock, a full day's worth of work. I don't even think I can actually lay in the bed during those times, so I wouldn't even think of, and then other people look at me and be like, how are you doing all that? How are you doing? I never seen you take the day off. I never seen you getting your rest. I get a lot of rest, but this is not work. It's not work,
Mhm.
you know?
Especially
So I
when
think
you enjoy
those,
it.
yeah, those three things. I wouldn't look into money. Oh, nope. Prestige, no. No. If you feel, I felt exhilarated about psychiatry, not excited to be one of them,
Mhm.
right? So if you want to be a surgeon just for surgeon's sake, all the surgeons I know, they do appendix and gallbladders 95% of the time. It's so routine and boring, you know what I'm saying? So I could never do that. I can never do that. So it'll be hard for me to justify how I would want to be a surgeon if that's so mechanical and you do the same thing every time. It's not for me. So choose whatever you really enjoy and you have your interest in.
Mhm. And so with lifestyle, with all of the patients that you see, are there any particular conditions or any particular area besides the lifestyle? I would say from a clinical perspective that drew you into psychiatry. I know you were mentioning neural networks, neurology. What are some of the things that drew you into the area?
See, medicine is changing. It's changing quick, very fast. So I would encourage you that so the training you're getting now in medical school, you're gonna get your training in residency, but you're gonna still need to master other areas. You know, I started learning to write code maybe 15 years ago. And so I had to go through and learn how to write code, how to develop platforms and things like that. You know, had to go through, read textbooks on AI, how to learn all that stuff. And I began building platforms maybe like 9 years ago and stuff. And over the past 9, 10 years, I got really good at it, you know. So when, because I was always by myself, I always kept all of my documentation. So I have 25 years of patients' records, and so another thing is I have to tell you, and here's how medicine is changing. So I'm so blessed, I'm so grateful that at the beginning of my career, I decided to not partner up. And most importantly, I decided not to work for anyone. I kept all of my patient records, and that turned out to be the most valuable asset I could ever have.
Yeah. Wow.
Right.
And
And
so
so
you mentioned
from
yes.
here, we're developing our own AI systems and things like that, and we have it operational in the hospital we're in. So we're going to launch our AI, and maybe hopefully. Uh, we're going to have a conference maybe likely in September to sort of launch our AI. But ours is learning how to treat people, how to take histories, how to prescribe medications. Everything has gotten to the point where ours is going to actually admit my patients to the hospital. So I would encourage you guys to look into software development and learn coding. I think you should really consider getting like a master's degree in AI and definitely a master's degree in coding, because I think you're going to need those capabilities. One of the things I've learned being in this territory between software and medicine is the guys in software, they have no idea what medicine is. I mean, they have no idea. And the fact that I'm a medical doctor and I write code, it comes from a completely different perspective. So we were able to find a lot of solutions for things. And so, and having that software background allows me to keep up with everything. Like Elon Musk just they're launching a platform for AI. You can read their research and thing and understand it. So um, expanding your education into maybe a master's degree in development of software and things like that, I think will be an excellent idea for you.
And regarding the master's degree, using that as a potential asset later on and see, what would you say are other things that medical graduates, international medical graduates, what are some things that they can do to increase their chances at matching as well?
I'm not an expert on that, and it's been a long time, but I would say, okay, the first thing is that I really don't believe that the residency program you go to actually matters. Right. So I'm here in Chicago, and they have a lot of huge university systems like the University of Chicago, Northwestern, all these places. And people fight to get over here to this area. But the extra work they make you do, the structure, the rigidity of those communities and things like that, I'm not sure. I'm not sure that it's worth it. I think you can find a rural program in a small program in a rural area, and they'll treat you humane. So I would go for I would prefer the small programs over the large programs. The large programs, you got to deal with a lot of things in these large institutions and structures that you don't have to deal with in these smaller institutions. So I would prioritize small and go in that direction.
Well, I think that's a pretty good strategy. That definitely seems like a good idea.
Yeah. And I would stay away from the large cities because, you know, the cost of to live these places, the traffic and all that stuff, it's going to be a lot and then when you get out and start practicing medicine, you know, the employers want you to make them profits. The hospitals are, these are businesses. So you have to really perform well in these businesses in order to maintain employment. And if you're not giving them the returns, they'll get rid of you real quickly, very quickly. So your value is based upon basically profitability and your ability to sort of really take care and manage your patients inside the facility. The profitability is basically the quality of your relationship with the facility or the hospital that you're working with, not where you actually did your training.
And so, regardless of where the person attends, what would you say are some standout characteristics that can, you know, enable an individual's opportunities at being accepted in either rural or urban residency program? Because I know psychiatry has been, it has been considered somewhat of a moderately competitive specialty, but I would say possibly, and you might even agree with me, in recent years with changing trends, the competitive rates have perhaps increased for residencies. So would you say things like, you know, like you said, being part of a master's program, having taken part in research, postdoctorals, any organizations that students partake in, is there any particular qualities that you would think would make somebody stand positively?
Flexibility, because I think ultimately it's random assortment.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a random assortment. I think the individual looking at the letters of recommendations, I think they choose based upon what they think is best, but that's based upon their biases.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I
So
think
really
that,
just finding. Mm-hmm.
yeah, they get 10,
Yes.
15 applications. They're going to prefer the one that they feel is best and stuff like that. So that's like a random pick based upon their biases. And so the whole system is operating that way. So I would just expect to not get into places because that's just the way it is. And you're going and systematically, you're going to get it eventually. So I really wouldn't worry about it. I mean, there are other things to worry about than that, you know, so, but I wouldn't worry about that because this country has a shortage of physicians. They have areas where they don't have enough doctors. You know, they have hospitals without psychiatrists and emergency room without psychiatrists because there are not enough of them. The rural areas and things like that. So I wouldn't worry about that stuff at all. It's sort of like a random pick for the majority of them. If you don't get it the first time, yeah, you get it the second time. You definitely get it the third time.
Mm-hmm. I think that's a very refreshing perspective.
Okay. See, guys, I don't think you should. There's really nothing you need to worry about. If you are worried about anything, you should look at the people around you and be like, why are you scaring me? Why are you want to make me feel scared about something that everybody succeeds in? Let's say if the rate was 50%, then I worry that'll be traumatic. But the rate is like 0. I never see it. I never see it.
So would you say there's any mistakes students make when applying for residency? Would you say maybe it would just be giving up, or just any weaknesses that a student could possibly prevent further residency applications?
Believe that they're not going to get accepted. I think if you believe that, you got a problem. You just stop there, just move on.
Mm-hmm.
It's not even necessary anymore. You shouldn't even have those emotions. You start feeling that way. There's something wrong with me. Just move on. So there's nothing that you can do. You're already finishing medical school. There's nothing they can do to mess this up.
Mm-hmm.
The system is going to move forward And as a group, you guys are going to take your place as this next generation of physicians. And you guys are just nervous because you're about to enter the game. And so this is like pre-game worries and stuff like that. Don't worry about that stuff. Let that stuff go. It's even necessary. You're gonna make it. Trust me. If you don't make it, call me a liar. I mean, if you don't make it, get on YouTube and say Dr. Reed's a liar. I failed at all this shit. I failed at everything. Right? I won't get one person to do that. You're all gonna make it.
Mhm. I really appreciate that, Dr. Reed. And other questions that here in the chat as well. I'm seeing from individuals asking, what are some recommendations for international medical students to find shadowing opportunities in the field of psychiatry here in the United States?
I do not know any psychiatrists, even the weird ones, that would turn you down. Google, pick up the phone and call. That's it. And when you call, don't call like, oh, I'm so and so student. Be like, hey, I'm a student for what you calling. Can I hang out with you for a month? They gonna say yes or no. Say no, boom, robocall. Next, hey, can I hang out with you for a month? And then all of them gonna say yes. Yeah,
So it's just a
call.
matter of being proactive then. Being
Yeah, I think,
proactive,
see,
finding your strengths and uniqueness in your applications.
okay, there are no weaknesses in your application. So there are no weaknesses in your application. You guys are all a part of the same cohort, and you all have same clusters of features and everything. There's no differences between y'all. So there are no weaknesses in y'all. If you get past the fear, then there's no reason why you couldn't call the person that you really want to work up with and say, hey, I'm a student. Sorry for the phone call, but I really want to work with you. I'll be there between January and February. Can I hang out with you? Yes and no. That's it. And they're going to say yes. So call them up.
Definitely. And would you consider the Chicago area to be IMG friendly?
Every place is IMG friendly. There's no such thing as IMG unfriendly, but there are narcissists, psychopaths, and sociopaths. And these are the only people who make you feel fear, right? These people, they operate covertly and they talk in your ear. They talk about you behind your back. They try to make you feel things that are not true. They try to make you feel fear like it's going to be hard and struggle and all that stuff. And they're only grooming you. That's all they're doing, right? So the programs are all regulated by the government and they can get their funding snatched. Right? So the people who are trying to run the programs do not want those behaviors operating inside of their programs because the person who's treating you like that, if you complain to the state or the agency, they have to come down and do a real investigation. And these are real state laws where they don't tolerate these things. So if you are feeling around people, or okay, if you feel any type of fear, negative emotional things, or unfriendly, do not collude with them by maintaining silence. The most effective way to handle that 100% of the time is awareness. So when that happens, if someone makes you feel uncomfortable, you just stop back and you look upon that makes me feel very uncomfortable. Where is your supervisor? Because I can't come here feeling like this. I can't come here and feeling like this. Who's doing it? One of y'all doing it? Where's the supervisor? I don't know who's doing it, but it's them. They making me feel unfriendly. Get them, right? But don't accept that and walk away. Because if you walk away from that, they're going to, and the next time you come back, you're going to have 3 of them. And that's where it becomes unfriendly. The fact that you are IMG doesn't mean anything. You got to get over that. You're still protected by all the laws in this country. And they don't even look at IMG. That even comes up. That's whether or not you did this to this person or not. The IMG don't have anything to do with it. And the programs really want you to stay. They want you to stay. They want you to do well because it reflects good on them.
So it's really just a matter of persistence. Again, asking
Well, see,
asking the hospitals, being persistent. I understand
well,
there's a high
okay.
volume of individuals and applicants. So that's really where my questions came from with regards to also standing out and the extracurricular
Well,
activities. Mhm.
but remember that, okay, you're saying the IMG friendly. Okay, and what I was saying that all the programs are IMG friendly. Okay, the individuals may have personality disorder, substance abuse, and all of them, and they tend to act covertly, and they create the unfriendly environment. But you can never run away from that. The best thing to do is address it head on. You make me feel this way. Where is your boss? Because I have to let everybody know what you just did to me, and that shuts it off, right? So and then everything else, everybody, you wherever you live, you just build a life that's convenient for you. I don't really see too many people grouping up anymore. I think that you build a life that's good for you with all the extracurricular activities that you're going to be able to find.
Mhm. And regarding that persistence and the activities, I'm still very much interested in knowing about your recommendations with master degrees, the AI integration, and just really overall with the direction in psychiatry. I'm interested to know your take on really the direction of psychiatry with the integration of technology. I know you mentioned you are building an AI system to possibly assist with the diagnoses of different conditions. Is that correct?
Yeah, you guys are entering at the perfect moment. I couldn't imagine a perfect time to enter a industry where the baby is being born.
Wow. So we're right at the
Co
breakthrough.
Yeah, I mean, you hit it on the mark. COVID-19 was the end of the Industrial Revolution. So the planet is running into all of these structural problems. The efficiency that we demand and that we believe we need to have isn't possible with the systems that were created during the Industrial Revolution. That entire model isn't effective anymore, right? So all of the hospitals and all of the companies and all the institutions, all of them are based upon the model on the information age. Sorry, in the Industrial Revolution. And now we're starting to see those models collapse and have difficulties with profitability because they're simply not efficient enough. The hospital I work at um, has an employee for every task, right? And the AI we're building eliminates the billing department, the social worker department, the case management department, the medical records department, basically the auditing department. I mean, our software is eliminating basically half of the administrative staff and 2/3 of employees,
And
right?
is this something?
Because
Yes.
Yeah, so the information technology and the software and AI can do all those things.
Mhm. And is this something you developed during your practice, during residency? What was the inspiration behind that development, Dr. Reed?
Um, Struggling with okay, so you're going to be a business person too, and you're going to be running a business, and people going to be suing you, and then you have to sue them, and then you got to sue some more. And then your enemies come, and then your competitors come, and so you're going to have to learn how to fight, right? So medicine is just only going to be one of the things you do. You're going to have to learn to sue people, right? You're going to have competitors that are going to come in and encroach on things and try to steal things. And so you're going to have to really be familiar with lawsuits and working the courts and things like that. Because if someone challenges your business, something like that, you have to be able to defend it.
Mm.
So that's another skill set. I was early on in my career, I was having some struggles with profitability. I started a group practice. It's like 6 months. I did something that most doctors would never do. First of all, they'll get another partner. Two, they'll work for a company. And I didn't do all those. I just went ahead and started my own group practice in a very affluent city. So it grew very fast and it grew rapid and stuff. And the profits were going up. And so I decided to expand. I went from one office to like three and then to four, but my overhead was going up at the same rate as my profits. And so I was basically working harder, working more hours, but not making the same.
Mhm.
So I had to find some way to decouple the profits from the expenses, right?
Mhm.
And the I started thinking about software, and so I started learning and going to school to sort of learn how to develop software. And it took 15 years. 15 years to get to that, to get to here.
Mhm. And what other things what other goals do you have with regards to AI and psychiatry, the integration and your practice? Mhm.
Okay, we found in the process of developing the software, AIs and things like that, we learned something very important, that
Mhm.
that there's a we're now COVID-19. This is the beginning of the information age, right? So you guys are right here at this moment, the information age. You catch this train going up, it's going to ride for the next 80 years at least. You know,
Mhm.
um, the what we learned here, and this, I don't know if I should be telling the secret out loud. What we learned is the difference between the industrial revolution is that the people who own the factors of productions, like the factories, the bankers and things like that, the elite, the affluent, they owned the factors of productions, and so they held the wealth. So the individual worker um, worked for labor, but the profits were handed over to people who own the asset. I think that's the structural model in the industrial revolution. But I think in the information age, I don't think that's going to be the case. I
Mhm.
don't think in the information age, the elite is going to control everything, because
And this is yes. Go ahead,
it
go ahead.
wouldn't be
Sorry.
a transition. It wouldn't transition into a new age if the fundamental structure is still the same.
Mhm.
So this is just my thoughts. And so I'm thinking, no, the assets are going to be inferred on the individual in the information age, right? And
Mhm.
so I think that's going to be the fundamental shift. And so one of the things that we're doing differently that Microsoft cannot do, that Google, the Apple, Elon can't do, is what we're doing. Um, so our platform is a platform to create AIs for doctors.
Mhm.
And my 25 years of data was the key.
Mhm.
So our platform is for young doctors like you guys to get on the platform. When you practice, you keep all of your data, all the creative process, you keep on the platform, right? And after 15 years of seeing patients, the platform looks at your work on a regular basis to decide which one of these records it want to include in our permanent blockchain.
Mhm.
If your record is included in the blockchain, then you, the hospital, and the patient will receive a token from our token,
Mhm.
right? So our blockchain is going to aggregate them, their perfect records,
Mhm.
right? So that means that at the end, if you get enough data, then you get your own AI. Right. So once I get my AI, then I'm going to set standards for the planet. Right.
And I
I'm
think
going
it's
to,
really, mhm. I think it's really good that you mentioned the age of information, the transition to it, and just really overall that emphasis, because what I'm seeing here is just, like you said in the beginning of the webinar, just an emphasis on flexibility, embracing that change, and just really embracing that change with regards to the change in trends clinically and also with technology, correct?
Yeah. Yep. I'm sorry, was that a question? Was that a question?
Well, a little bit of both, because it's an observation I was making. The students or individuals in my position, we want to get to be residents, practice as clinicians, as physicians, and so everybody, a big question in our stage is getting there. What are those transitions? How can we achieve those transitions? What are ways in which we can stand out? And I feel one of those hallmarks is flexibility and embracing change based on the changes that you're describing to us. And so I really appreciate the way you're describing the transition of psychiatry, the way it's been progressing, as or the way you see it progress, the projection in which it's going, and just really overall how one can embrace that change, and just really practice those skills of information. So for individuals in our stage, uh, possibly engaging in research, because a big emphasis is flexibility, change, information. And so what I'm getting here is possibly engagement in research, research integrations, technology integrations, correct, other applicable activities for the goals that you're describing, correct, Dr. Reed?
Exactly. And then I'm not sure if research is absolutely necessary, because I think overall it's just a random system and they're going to take all the slots they need. And I think there's more slots than there are more slots available that they need. So I don't think it's going to be a problem.
Mhm. But it's still a good activity for, like you said, that integration of information, because I find it amazing. It's not very common hearing somebody saving decades worth of information and then using it for their for the development of their AI system. And so
Well,
in a
but see,
way,
right, right, but I see. I think that's going to be the future, and I think that's the difference. Again, industrial age, the rich held the assets. I think in information age, you're going to hold the asset, and I think the asset is basically what you're going to produce during your career, right? Because you accumulate that, now you can put an AI on top of your own data. Now, here's and I think that you guys are going to have to focus on adapting to change, because I think that's the only thing that's going to happen out there. It's going to be happening so rapidly, because right now the changes are hitting these hospitals and institutions, and it's driving down profits and creating losses and creating all sorts of changes. So you're going to have to you have to get ready for all these changes. But what's interesting is that with an AI, then I'm going to simply provide my AI for free, so that if you need, I don't believe that mental health treatment should come at a cost. I think it should be an inalienable right extended to you by your creator for mental health, right? And so my AI is going to do assessments, do neuropsych testing, and do all this stuff. And so I'm simply going to launch it for free. And anyone who needs this type of evaluation, they can go through this thorough evidence-based evaluations and get it for free. But then they can actually take that to their doctor, and it helps explain the reasons why and what medications. And so your primary care physician could sort of handle it if a psychiatrist is not available. That's information age medicine. I think that's the difference. You see what I'm saying? In the industrial revolution, you were working for a hospital and you were part of a department and you were trying to do the best you can to play as a team member. But I think here in the information age, who's ever having any difficulties with the things that I specialize in, they can just contact my AI and get access to all the services without me being there. And another thing is that these changes, physicians never had the options to have that you have now. After my career is over, I have my entire career, right? So I'm gonna hand this down as an asset, right? So one of the things I want to encourage you young people now is that all your notes and everything you're doing now, this is gold. These are golden nuggets, and you cannot throw them away. You cannot, this, all of those, and this is what we're focusing our platform too, is so you'll be able to use the platform and just keep everything in one place for your entire career. But those early developmental stages, to see how you are struggling with these things, to capture that information would be very valuable, incredible.
So really just having a tracking system or a system to track the progress of, again, either the progression of a patient or the progression of somebody's studies, but
Well,
you would say that would be an essential skill in everything.
exactly. Now, this makes you invaluable because as the patients come through the hospital, we give them the AI, and it does their intake assessment and all these things. And it gives us all the options to the point where I'm only looking at the patient and just seeing what they want to do. And we're watching the patients go through the whole process, being treated with the AI. And because the AI looks at all the cases that matches theirs, and then it looks at the patients who got well, and then what did we do for the patients who got well, and then give those things as options, and the patient can choose for himself. Having this, no other physician has these capabilities. So all of the hospitals in this area is looking and trying to figure out what's going on and how can they use this, because our hospital is completely full of behavioral health, and that's like rare. It's like rare. So the patients, my patients are already responding to the clear higher standard of care. I mean, and just exceptionally precise medicine, and to the point where we're getting just really good outcomes. So I think that, and then after I launch this AI, it'll be able to do all my transactions for me. So all these transactions across the planet.
And
So
how, yes, go ahead.
So I think information age medicine, I think you all are going to be attached to your own customized AI. And I think you're going to be anyone who's dealing with any problem, they can find you anywhere in the world and get access to help for what you specialize in. And that the AI eliminates everybody between me and my patient.
Mhm.
It disintermediates all of these entities.
So that's where you have the good middle ground between, optimized patient care, but at the same time offering the individualized patient care, correct?
Well, we're at a completely different standard because you're talking about precision medicine. You know, my patients seem to um, get a sense of comfort seeing the number of patients who were just like them and got better, right? Because they say, well, there was like 500 patients with the exact same condition as yours, and on these medications, all of them got well. Well, out of 500, 300 got to this point. When they see that, then it gives them some reassurance that I've never had that capabilities in the past. Also, to be able to have our AI look through all their medical records real quick that they came in the hospital and point out all things that I would be important. Just look through surgery records, medical, all that. Look through it real quick and just give me look for the things that would impact me, so I can do that very quickly now with just a push of a button. And having that ability to get that information in like less than a minute, I've never had that before. It's amazing.
Mhm. So it's definitely been an asset and a benefit when it comes to approaching the area of stigma when it comes to patients then, correct?
Yeah, look at what I'm doing, but look at what my friend is doing. My friend is doing all this by hand. My
Mm.
friend is writing the book. He's writing on the chart. I haven't even seen the chart. And he's doing one patient at a time. he did a dictaphone, all that. It's like there's no in the qual that era of medicine that I entered in is gone. It's gone. You guys are going to do, they're going to look at you guys as superhuman because I think the standard of care that you're going to give as a generation is going to become what we do here. I don't think is going to be acceptable for you guys once you guys get started. I don't think it's going to look deep enough in what you. I don't think the individual don't have enough brain power and time to look through and integrate all this stuff on its own. So I think you guys are going to, basically improve absolutely everything.
So it's definitely going to, again, benefit the patients and just really, would you say, have you noticed any, with these technological integrations, have you noticed any change in the way patients seek medical care? Again, whether there's less stigma, better access?
Yeah, they follow you like you're a cult leader. I mean, they wait outside the hospital. They follow you. I had to relocate and move to a high rise because people were coming to my house, sitting outside my door. They sit outside the hospital. It's a huge problem. When you start helping people heal real fast, they don't leave. They sort of view you as sort of like a transitional object where they have to get closer to you all the time. So it's at this point, I got to really get personal security when I go to the hospital. So I have the security that has to come with me because of, things like stalking and things like that. Because we deal with everything. I mean, absolutely everything that you don't want to mention in public. We deal with, and so these people are constantly, they never leave your life. That's one of the drawbacks of psychiatry is that when you sort of help people a lot of heal, then they sort of tend to have you around. And if you go too far, they start to have emotional psychological deficits, so they have to return in close proximity to you. So you have to deal with that. Another impact is that the hospital is full. My colleagues have maybe 5 to 6 patients at the hospital, whereas for me, I filled up the whole hospital every day. So today, 51 patients in the hospital. There's probably only 58 patients. 51 of the patients in the hospital are mine, but there's only a total of 58 patients in the whole hospital. So the end result of this is everybody comes from everywhere to come and visit you. And I don't even have an outpatient office. So my office is on outpatient office. It got so big that I decided to just cut them down and just go into the hospital, and the patients just come into the hospital and visit you. So, but it's the highest quality of care that there is. This is a market, and they're responding to the value exchange. They're getting better with the care under that's really run through software. With the assistance of software, then if I were not using software, I don't think I could fill the beds like this. I don't think I wouldn't have that much of an impact on a patient. I don't think I would be that good. So, but with this software, it's amazing the details, the information you can get from this thing.
Mhm. Yes, definitely. And there, I mentioned, I asked because there definitely was stigma around seeking psychological, psychiatric assistance, anywhere even less than 10 years ago. And so I'm seeing that from what you're saying, it's more of an encouragement now. People are seeing a lot more
Well, see,
encouragement to seek. Mhm.
yeah, see that population you're describing is more of an outpatient, healthy population. That's not my population. We talk about the murderers, the killers, the rapists, the child molesters, the pedophiles. We're talking about this population, the gangsters and everything, the chronically mentally ill, the homeless and things like that. We're talking this population of very severely, mentally ill. With a lot of props, so we have a lot of relationships with the courts and the police, and so anything that, and then the hospital I'm at is in the urban area, so it's an urban area, so we get a lot of violence and things, and people are forced into the hospitals, and the families are glad that someone's there to help. So this is just the opposite. Like, thank God, I'm glad somebody here to help with this, you know. So we never have those type of problems.
No, I'm very glad to hear again that just really the stigma is not there, and I appreciate that you clarify. I appreciate that you clarify the patient population, you know, that you're focused in, because at the end of the day, everybody comes to a physician for medical care, and I'm happy to know that there's patients who there's patient populations for all physicians, or all physicians for all patient populations. And so with that in mind, how do you go about managing your patient volume in your practice?
For you guys as students, I wouldn't worry about those things at all because they're going to come naturally. You know, I have a large volume, but I've been doing the same thing for 24 years. You know, I think you guys, I don't know any physician who, I don't know any physician who failed. And besides some who are maybe having some serious medical or serious mental illness, but there'll be a lot of patients. You're going to develop your individual style, you know, and you're going to see physicians that you like, you know. However, you're going to read doctors' histories and stuff, and you're going to know the ones you like because they express things certain ways. So I typically steal phrases and things like that. I read people work and try to get a good idea how they express this or that, because a lot of your skill right now is going to be at writing and being a convincing enough writer to convince the person reading your documentation that you really understand what you're talking about, and that you have a really good conceptual understanding of the case. You know, so you want to build those skills to do that, but it's going to come in time. The only thing I would worried about is worrying. Okay.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think that's a pretty good perspective, Dr. Reed. And again, just I really appreciate your words. I appreciate the reassurance for students, again, because you hear information from everywhere, many different perspectives, but coming from a psychiatrist and individuals who are pursuing psychiatry, again, the bigger hallmarks that I'm seeing here again is flexibility, uh, adaptability to change, and just overall at the end of the day, tenacity, because
Yeah,
that's really what will get you to that position, correct?
yeah. Realize you already won the game. I mean, you got this for you, MD. You already won the game.
No, thank you
Nothing.
so
There's nothing
much,
else to do
Dr.
but
Yes.
there's nothing to do but
Yes,
go
go
through the
ahead.
individual steps, and you've already learned everything you need to learn. I mean, the learning was in medical school, so right now you're just going to see the stuff 5 or 6 times, then copy how to do it, and that's it. And none of, and if it's difficult, it's because the person in front of you is making it difficult.
But again, just keep, if that person does not, again, just go to
Tell
the
them
next
false.
person.
Tell them false.
Either they're higher up or just try another. But if a door closes, another one has to be open, or you open the door yourself, correct?
Yeah. Well, in this scenario, they can't even close the doors because you're already MD. There are no doors. There's only your perception of there being doors. The only thing out here is your success in doing well. That's the only thing out here. If you make it seem something else other than that, then you have a problem. You need to stop.
And this is despite low grades, or perhaps individuals who might have failed a step maybe once. Again,
You
just
know,
because those are common concerns from individuals.
yeah. And I think they're going to be the best doctors. And I would rather have a doctor who failed step one because it shows that that person has some tenacity, some heart and everything. They didn't walk away after that failure, as opposed to some rich kid with a trust fund and tutors. I don't, none of that matters, and no one's ever going to look at that stuff. I mean, I never even heard of anybody going back saying anything about none of that stuff. Nothing, there is nothing that a medical student does that anybody pay attention to. there's nothing that you can do that's going to get anybody's attention because none of it is important. You're a student, you're just learning. It's not important to me as a doctor. You learning to me, and what you do has nothing to do with what I'm interested in as a doctor. Nothing. So nobody's ever gonna, if they are getting to that point, then you know you have a problem on your hand, right? Because when you have to understand when you're dealing, when you're going forward, you're going to run into people who will exploit you based upon your developmental level, right? You are entering this field, and so you have the low functioning, concrete, unempathetic narcissists, psychopaths, and sociopaths in this area that'll make you feel that this is more difficult than it really is. But if you understand that the problem is not with you, it's in the person who's making you feel that way, then you can just report that person and move on. But there's nothing out here to stop you. You guys are going, listen, the collectively, so it's like 16 people here, something like that. Collectively, the value you're going to give to the people around you is going to be enormous. I mean, it's going to be, you're going to save people's lives. You're going to heal people's children. You're going to save marriages. You're going to restore people's thoughts. You're going to restore people's health and wealth. I mean, you're going to do a lot of good things. And those are the things you should focus on, what you're going to do, and not the stuff that fake fear about stuff that people don't even pay attention about. None of those things are important, and none of those things will matter at all.
No, definitely. I really appreciate your words, Dr. Reed, and I am getting a notice that the meeting will be ending shortly. We will be wrapping up soon. So before we do so, I just wanted to ask, do you have any other closing remarks, any additional advice for IMGs, medical students, medical graduates who are going through this journey?
Hey, I would encourage you to think about the times that you are going in, and these things that are newly created are the things that are going to be the structure of our information age. You know, and I would say if it's fear, then you need to stop playing around and just get past that. And you should feel excitement. You should feel exhilaration. Everything that you dreamed of as a child is about to come true right now. And there's never been a class of physicians with as much capability or opportunity as you guys as a group. You are more capable as a group than my group. My group was before the internet. It just got there before the internet. You guys, and so our learning was prehistoric. You have to, and now you guys have the AI you can learn from. It's gonna be, this is gonna be very exciting. And I wish you guys the best, okay?
So all the strengths from the the prior system with all the excellent advances and the newer systems that are coming up. This is the integration that we're all getting. And so I definitely agree with you. Individuals who are pursuing psychiatry would definitely, there's no better time. So thank you so much, Dr. Reed, once again. Thank you so much for your words. And I'm seeing here that we have no further questions. Therefore, I will be wrapping up the webinar now. And again, I just wanted to thank you, Dr. Reed, and everybody else here who has attended the webinar. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much, Dr. Reed, for all of your invaluable information and advice. And I hope everyone continues having a good day. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Thank you so much. Thanks, guys. Thanks for inviting me, okay? Good luck with
course.
everything. If you're
Thank
in
you so much.
If you're in Chicago, hit me up.
Definitely. We'll definitely look for ways to get in contact with you. Yes. Thank you so much, Dr. Reed.
All right. Thank you so much, guys.
Hope you have a great day.
Okay. Ciao.
Bye-bye.